What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is season 9, episode 12. And I have a veteran of the show. I think, Emilio, I think you were on the first season, like when I first
Yeah,
started doing it.
probably
So,
probably was 2 years ago.
yeah, no more than that, dude. I
More,
bet
more
you,
than that, yeah.
yeah, I bet you it was probably 2020 or
Yeah.
2021, maybe at the most.
Yes, and we were talking about the Gladio, the good old
Yeah,
double
everything
channel
has
Gladio.
changed since
Yeah,
then. I mean, or a lot has changed, I would say.
a lot has changed. Yes,
And
I mean,
yeah, and the last time I saw you even was probably when I went to NAMM a couple years ago. So it's been even since then, stuff has
yeah,
changed. So
yeah.
let's catch up on all that stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
like, my entry into this was the original Gladio, like dual pedal.
yes. That,
And
that is actually the thing that the pedal that started everything for us. Or well, at least the thing that just make the Cornerstone spread all over the world. We
well,
used to make pedals before the Gladio, but the Gladio was the really the one that put us on the map.
yeah, for sure. Because before that, you had a compressor, you had
Yeah.
the antique, right? You had some overdrive stuff.
What I
So
call the
tell
phase one.
everybody. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell everybody what existed before the Gladio.
So the before the Gladio, we had let me well, the very first pedal that I made was a compressor, actually, very simple one, the Orange Squeezer. You know that,
Mhm.
which it's a very simple pedal being used by Mark Knopfler, and I want to make that thing started everything from Cornerstone, and I still remember the day in which I turn it on, and I just saw the LED turns on, and I was like, it works.
Yep.
That was a magical moment for me, and I still remember that because I think that was the very beginning of Cornerstone. Then I made another overdrive, the first overdrive, which I called Sparkle. It was kind of a type of modern overdrive inspired by, let me say, like OCD,
Oh, okay.
that type of tone. And then the Zefiro, which was another iteration of another compressor, an optical compressor that time, and the first version of the Antique.
Okay.
And I mean, the Antique is also present in the Cornerstone Phase 2 and Cornerstone Phase 3 as well. Now, the latest version has just come out. But yeah, the Antique is the only pedal that was there before the Gladio, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy. And there's been several iterations of it now. Like you've tweaked it a bit. I always wanted to ask you, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, but like, where did the name Cornerstone come from?
The name Cornerstone, I was when I was designing the name of the company, I was just thinking about very simple things like, I don't know, Massari effect, my name effect, or whatever effect or something. But that actually didn't reflect my idea of what the pedal should do for a guitar player. Um, so if you try to play your guitar dry with just your guitar and amp, it's just pretty much like you making pasta without any sauce. It's
Mhm.
I mean, you can do it, but there is no taste. So I thought, well, the pedals are an essential part of the tone, so it's like the cornerstone of the tone. uh,
I
so
see.
you need them to build your tone on top of them. So that's the reason why
Okay.
I decided to use that word.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't think I've ever asked him that. Like today when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't think we've ever even talked about that. But I think that's like a part of like a business that's kind of hard. It's like, building a guitar and figuring out what the headstock's going to look like if you want to start a guitar company. It's like the name of the company has to like easily come off the tongue, right? But it also
Mhm.
has to be something that you feel a connection with.
Yeah.
So like I was like, man, I don't know how when we stick to something, when we start a company or when we start a podcast or whatever the hell you're doing, it's like you got to get married to it, right? Because then it's stuck.
Yeah,
It's there.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
it just, I think the name just has to reflect the philosophy, the idea of what you're doing. So yeah, Cornerstone is definitely my type. In a word, is my type of idea of making pedals.
Okay. And I think the last time I saw you when I was at NAMM, which would have been 2 years ago, um, that's when I think the Coliseum had just kind of come out of maybe very close
Yeah,
to that.
it was released. Um yeah, in 2024. Yeah, it was released, yeah, around that time. Yes.
Okay. So then how do you see like the trajectory of like the past to present in your company? I know we can talk about it in terms of like, you know, like Marvel phases, kind of like phase one, phase two, phase three. But like so like the beginning pre-Gladio, I guess that would be your phase
Yeah,
one-ish.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then do you
Exactly.
consider the dual Gladio to be like phase two, start of phase two? Okay.
Yes, totally. I'm a very big Marvel fan,
I
so
know. That's why that's why we're gonna do this.
that's why I call them the phases. So phase one, phase two, and phase three. By the way, I just spent the weekend in Val d'Aosta where Avengers: Age of Ultron was shot.
Oh, cool,
Yep.
man. Nice.
That is
That's
just a
awesome.
nerd off topic.
Nerds unite.
Um, yeah, I think every single phase of Cornerstone is a particular identity. So the very first phase was just me making pedals that I just like. So pedals that I personally would use. Me as Emilio Massari playing guitar, and if you like it, that's perfect. If you don't like it, yeah, that's perfect enough. Anyway, that was my first phase. So the Cornerstone in phase one was that. Um, and with the making of the Gladio, when the Gladio came out, something changed because I started talking with guitar players from all around the world, and I started receiving ideas, receiving feedbacks, and then I just saw Cornerstone growing more and more. And then I thought, well, probably the approach of making pedals just because I like them or making the things that I like is not the right approach for a company that is growing. So I think it's better to try to meet other people's needs. Um, so the Gladio is the very first pedal in Cornerstone Phase 2, in which I followed a different ideas, a different philosophy, and then I decided in Phase 2. I decided to make pedals inspired by tones or inspired by specific circuits, but always giving my interpretation of them. So the Gladio is Cannonball Shuffle from Robin Ford and Elemental Journey from Sonny Landreth. This is the Gladio. So it's not just something that I like, but it's something that I heard from someone else, and I wanted to be inspired by that. Um, or let me say the antique is also, or the univibe that I did, the aquarium, or the Coliseum clone and bluesbreaker derivative is something that I was inspired by those circuits, but making in my own way.
Mhm.
So it's not just pedals that I like and pedals that I make because I like them, but it's a different approach. And then it came the Cornerstone Phase 3, the latest one, the one that we are now, and it's a new approach as well.
Okay. Yeah, and you've really kind of taken on, I would say, a new aesthetic.
Oh
Like
yes,
like your pedals don't look like anything else that's on the market, which I think is very cool. Obviously when you're starting out and like dude, right behind me on my board, I have a big show this weekend is the
hmm
Gladio SC. And
nice.
I feel like that pedal is, you know how we are. We're always finicky. Guitar players are always swapping in and out overdrive pedals because it's like the flavor of the week for you. Like, what are you
Yeah.
playing now? But what I find about and how I use that pedal is I just use it almost like a little dirty clean boost kind of
Yes.
thing. So I take like the platform that this two rock is, and then when I put that on, it just gives me a little bit more punch and makes me feel like the amp is kind of speaking a little bit more. but still retaining kind of that big clean sound with a little hair around it.
That is exactly the purpose for which the Gladiator was designed. The Gladiator C especially was designed.
Okay. Yeah, because it works so fantastically well with humbuckers, with single coils, everything that I throw at it, it does a great job. But like, that phase is like your beginning phase. So it's very
Yeah.
simple, like layout, but I think for what you guys have done now and how you've changed the look of your product has its specific stamp. Like, so how long did you labor over changing the aesthetic of the pedals?
Well, the change about the aesthetic that we begin in 2024, which is part of the new Cornerstone Phase 3, is a thing that we decided to do as part of a bigger and wider rebranding. I just wanted to enter this new phase, not just saying to people, I'm making pedals now this way, but I also want this pedal to look this way. So look in a completely different way. As a matter of fact, I know that the pedal market nowadays is extremely crowded, and the vast majority of pedals out there are all great. So there must be something different, and I think the very first thing that you literally see out of a pedal is the look. Is not the sound, is the look. So even because we are Italian and I am obsessed with design in everything, I wanted to make a completely new look, starting from the knobs. So we decided to design our own knobs, so nobody can have them because we made them.
Right.
We made them from scratch. So every single knobs are CNC made, anodized, so we can have them with a bunch of different colors. But the cool thing is that it's our knobs, and not only the knobs that we're using in the new version of the Antique or in the Nero, but also in the new Nucleo, we're making new knobs. So I think from now on, we're only using custom knobs, our own knobs.
Okay.
And this is part of an aesthetic rebranding of the pedal that I think is really important. Another very important thing is the use of faceplates, the retroillumination, little aesthetic details that I really like, and really set these pedals apart from all the rest, and also from the past of Cornerstone. So it's a completely new thing. It's a completely new phase, even more different than from phase one to from phase one. Sorry, from phase one to phase two. Sorry, it's a completely new phase, very different now. The phase three compared to the phase two. But the core of the difference is what we do with the pedals. In reality, now we make pedals asking myself the question, why do I make a pedal? Why do I have to make this new pedal, and not how do I make this new pedal? This is an essential question, actually, because otherwise we just make a new pedal, right? Yet a new pedal.
Right.
There will be nothing special. I want to make something special, something that feel people need, fix problems, fix issues, and offer something different. It will not be for everybody, obviously, but for a lot of people, yes. Example is the Nero Fuds, which I decided to make a Fuds in 2024. And
Right.
I decided to take this brave decision because there is a very strong reason, and I actually waited a long time to make one, because I mean, people has been asking me for a fuzz for a long time, and I've never made one because there are so many fuzz in the market nowadays. So I thought that must be a real good reason, a really good value to the pedal to make a fuzz in 2024.
And
And
that,
the Nero is that.
yeah, and Emilio, I think I remember us talking, and that came from an accident. Like, wasn't there something wrong with the Gladio, or like there was
Oh
something
yeah,
wrong with the circuit? And you're like, hold on a second, this sounds kind of cool. Like, what happened
yeah.
there?
These are the typical things that happens, when cooking. Yeah, the Gladio SC has has an overdrive. It's an overdrive, and has a clean blend, a clean knob, actually, a knob that is allowing your clean signal to being added on top of the overdrive. It's not going from full drive to full clean. It's not like that, as you know. The thing, the thing is, the way the clean signal and the drive signal are mixed back together at the end of the circuit is actually wrong. The
Mm.
way that this is happening in the Gladio SC is technically wrong. And when I figured it out, I thought, okay, yeah, I need to fix it. But when I fixed it, it wasn't sounding like the Gladio SC. So all the magic was in that error, in that mistake.
That's so
That was
funny, man.
incredible.
Do you so let me just ask you about so fuzz. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of fuzz.
Mhm.
And before people started asking you, were you already a fan of the sound of fuzz, or were you like, I don't really understand it, I haven't messed with it too much, or
No, I'm a very big fan of fuzz, but
okay.
as just as the majority of people, I like fuzz being heard from someone else.
I
when
feel the same way when I hear like Joey play, like Joey
exactly,
Landreth play. I'm like, he makes it sound good.
exactly the same thing when I hear Ariel Posen or other great players playing fuzz. And every time I think, yeah, I should start playing with fuzz, but when I do, it's like, no, it's not for me. I cannot handle it. I cannot manage it.
Mhm.
I just I just can't pull out the sound that I have in my head. So yeah, I've always been a really big fan of fuzz, but for some reason, for many reasons actually, I've never used one. Uh, Either because it's just too gainy, too bass, or even just
Mm.
because I like clean amps, because I'm an overdrive guy, so I just prefer to have a clean pedal platform type of amp. But that is not really good when you have to play a fuzz. Um, I've always liked the gritty kind of gated sounds of a
Me too.
fuzz, but I also love the big round violin type of fuzzes from Eric Johnson. Something that I cannot achieve with just one fuzz. I should at least have two, right? With a bias control, of course.
Mhm.
Um, so a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons for which I've always said, okay, well, yeah, no, I'm not putting a fuzz in my board until the Nero.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the way you just described it, like the gated kind of Velcro-y thing, like that's my favorite sounding fuzzes, like when it's
Mhm.
kind of like got that grittiness, that Velcro kind of flavor, but it also makes your amp sound like it's imploding in a
Yeah.
way, you know what I mean? And I think that's like from what I've heard from the clips of the Nero and everything, and then I'm getting one soon, so I will play that. But that is the sound you nailed. I feel like from what I've heard from other demos and video clips that I've
Yeah.
seen. Are you very, very happy with it? Are you kind of like, I feel like I can still tweak it? Or are you like, no, I think this is good?
I think it's good. I think that is the representation, the perfect representation of what I would expect from a fuzz from my perspective. As I said, this is not a fuzz for everyone.
Mhm.
This is probably the perfect fuzz for anyone just like me, not really great players. So you could probably you're not in this category, of course.
Well, you're a good player too, man. You can play. So
Yeah, but you know, um, there is something there is nothing else that I can change in the Nero, because that is the perfect representation of what I would expect from a fuzz,
Mhm.
and all the feature that I would like to have from a fuzz. So let's say I'm a very big fan of dynamics. So I want to be able to control dynamics even with a fuzz, and that's
Mhm.
the reason why there is a compression knob on the Nero, which is kind of unusual for a fuzz. Um, I don't particularly like FUD classic type of FUD faces or FUD pedals that you have to crank the gain on the pedal and then you control the volume with the guitar volume knob. But actually the cleanup is just happening in like a 1 millimeter rotation of the guitar volume. So it's just like all dirty or clean, and you have to have a really trained hand to
Mm.
manage it. Um, so you can control the gain of the Nero throughout all the rotation of the knob. You don't have to put it all the way up. I don't
Yeah.
particularly like the thing that I have to put the fuzz in front of every other pedal because of the low input impedance. The Nero has 1 mega ohm input impedance. You can place it whatever you want.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, that's dope. Okay. Sweet.
What else? Well, so control, but the very important thing about the Nero, you probably know it, is inside. Is actually two pedals in one. It's not just a fuzz.
Mhm.
It's the my fuzz circuit followed by an entire Gladius C built in,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the famous clean knob of the Gladius C, it's actually the compression knob that I call compression in the Nero.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I call it
That's
compression because it's not clean, because there is a fuzz in front, so it doesn't really make sense to call it clean anymore. But it still does everything about everything what the clean does in the Gladius C. So the parallel mixing thing, and that is, as a result, controlling the dynamic of the pedal,
mhm.
which is incredible actually to have control over the dynamics of a fuzz.
Mhm.
And the two voices, well, you have two different biases. I call it voices, not to call, because I didn't want to call it biases. So it's voice one and voice two, just two different biases, two independent biases. So you can set them as you want, and you can flip one or the between one or the other. So you can get gritty, rough, fuzzy tones, or big, round, fuzz overdrive-ish kind of tone.
Mhm.
And if you roll down the guitar volume um, in the first half rotation of the voice, so when the sound is it's gritty, if you roll down the guitar volume, it start gating,
Mhm.
and if you roll down the guitar volume on the other side, when it's big, when it's over bias, you can get the classic cleanup.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
basically, you have all the sounds that you would expect from a fuzz. So no, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you put a lot of time and energy into it, and
Oh,
a lot of thought into that. So, and
yeah.
Aaron's here from Dominion. He said he has an antique V3 and it's killer. So I'm sure, and he said, "What do you mean you don't like classic fuzz faces?" I think
No, I
there's,
mean I like them. I do like them. But as I said, I'm not a great player. So probably the only problem that I've always had with fuzz faces is uh, I wasn't really able to manage them.
yeah,
And
they're
uh, and
they're squirrely.
a lot of
Yeah.
people actually is just like this,
Mm-hmm.
just like me. I've talked with a lot of people, and many of them say the same thing. So yeah, I love fuzz or fuzz faces or the classic vintage ones when played by someone else. When I have when I have to play them, I don't know, something happens. I don't know. It's just not for me. So that's the thing.
I think it's crazy too because it's like what I hear people say about like Gibson 335s. It's like you've got to play a bunch of them until you find the right one. And I think the same thing with like fuzz circuits. Like I had like just a regular old off the shelf like rebranded like fuzz face Jim Dunlop from fuzz face like in like the smiley face
Mhm.
packaging probably, I think I bought that in 2007, maybe 8. And I bought it offline. I just ordered it
Mhm.
and never had a fuzz pedal before. And that one was a good one. Like all I did was go to gigs when I was living in Boston. I had a Fender Twin that I took 2 of the power tubes out just to cut that wattage in half, and I had the fuzz face and my
Wow.
Strat, and that was my rig. And I would just leave the fuzz on all night and just control, like you were saying, control my volume on my guitar, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
But I think I had a good fuzz. Like if it would have been a crappy fuzz face, I wouldn't have been doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was still very in the beginning of figuring out like pedal boards at that time. Like I didn't really understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
So one pedal was manageable to have on the floor in front of me. But let me ask you too, like, so after everything that kind of has changed over the past few years, and now that like Robin is playing your pedals, like, which I'm sure it was a dream come true for you.
Yeah, we met last year in Croatia when he was touring here in Europe. He was in Croatia and we met, and that was an amazing experience. I was with him on stage during the sound check. You know, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I was doing the sound check with him just side by side, and I was like tweaking the pedals, at least the Gladio. And he just look at me and say, can you help me just a little bit with the tone? Can you just go over there and see and hear how the sound is? How is it? Do you like it?" And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh man, you're asking me if I like it. You're asking me my opinion. That's so nice."
How did you hook up with him? Like what happened that was like came
I think
together?
the very first thing that I got in touch with Robin was through Jeff Merkeline.
Okay.
They're friends, and Jeff suggested the Gladio, both Gladios actually, the dual one and the SC to Robin, and I just had a call with him, and I was like, "Yeah, Robin, basically, I decided this pedal, I designed this pedal based on your song."
Right? And what
Yeah,
did he say to that?
yeah, he didn't know that, and was really impressed. He was really impressed because I still remember that. I was at the phone, and he told me, "Oh, that's funny," and I was like, "Why is funny?" "Well, because I didn't know that." He said, "I didn't know
Yeah.
that." But the very moment in which I turned the pedal on and I tweaked the knobs a little bit, I was like, "Damn, this thing sounds like Cannonball Shuffle."
Oh wow, dude. So you were like, I nailed it and I can sleep
Yes.
tonight. Yeah, okay. Okay. That is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Do you okay, so what do you moving forward, like who else do you want to work with? Like who do you want to get? Who do you want to see play your stuff? Like because now like if Robin Ford is using your pedals and they're on the floor in front of him or whatever, like where do you go from here? That's like one of your idols.
Well, I don't know. I just hope one day that John Mayer could use anything, any pedals that I make. This is that would be a really dream coming true. But yeah, John is John. I mean, my monsters are John, The Edge. I mean, people like this. I love these guys.
Yeah.
And if that would happen, I would say, yeah,
You're
I'm
all
done.
set.
I'm set.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it's been so fun. I mean, because before I met you, which was through Terry,
Mhm.
um, years and years ago, like 4 years ago or whatever, like it was still in its infancy, and it's been so fun to watch things from the outside as a fan of the brand and fan of you and what you guys are doing and like the small like family run business that you have, which is even cooler to want to kind of watch that grow the way that it has organically. But like you obviously have put so much love and energy and time into like figuring out what you authentically and genuinely want to make for guitarists,
Mm.
because you guys, and I say this to a lot of people that I like, pedal builders that I'm fans of, but it's so inspiring to like play through stuff that just hits you. You know what I mean? Like yesterday, man, I shot a video for Keeley's new Zoma pedal,
Hmm.
which, dude, I'm telling you, man, I feel like for a long time the Strymon Flint was like my favorite pedal. When people ask me
Hmm.
what's your favorite pedal, I'm like, it's, believe it or not, it's not an overdrive, it's the Strymon Flint. But this pedal, I think, is a Flint killer,
Wow.
or at least a Flint adjacent. You know, and like I got so wrapped up in playing because I loved the sounds of what was going on with the tremolo and with the reverb that I just started playing for too long. I was like, oh, you got to stop playing because you know what I mean. But that's like what stuff like your pedals can do for people as guitarists. And I am strictly the gig that we're playing this weekend. We're doing Pink Floyd's "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," which is a song
Mm.
I've always wanted to play my whole life as a guitarist. And I finally have a band that can handle doing it and performing it.
Hmm.
And the SC and this awesome compression pedal that I have, that and the Two Rock, that's the tone.
You
That's
don't need
that.
anything else.
No, that's that intro Gilmore guitar sound.
Cool.
And it's super clean and punchy and like got nice sustain to it. But that's the thing is like the energy and the love and the time that you put into this, it doesn't go unnoticed, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. I
You
mean,
know what
I
I mean?
really appreciate that. I really appreciate that because, as everyone, sometimes we just go through some discouraging times, I would say,
Mhm.
up and downs. Everyone has. Um, but I think that's just the only way of making pedals. It's it's the love of mine, um, and I think uh, to make pedals in a really good way nowadays, it's really important to think about other people's need, and this is also some sort of empathy. You need to understand others. You need to try to understand what they need and what they see, what problems they have. Um, and what I love about this industry, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of competition, of course, but that's just part of the game. But what I love in particular about this industry is it's a really big community. So when we make pedals, I love when people say, this pedal paired together with these other fuds of this other company, or these amplifier that I bought from here or from there or whatever. That make me so inspired, and this is what I like, because I really feel that the community of players and the community of builders, it's just one thing. It's just one thing. Everybody is just providing tones and playing tones and making new music. After all, what I try to do is making pedals that can ignite a new inspiration. That's all. Pedals like the Keeley, you played and you just can't stop. That feeling when you play, when you find something that you really love it, and really surprises you, and just gives you a lot of inspiration, and you can't stop playing. That's the feeling that I want to create with the pedals, without
Mhm.
pedals.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do it, man. I think, and like, so my buddy Max is in here and, we talk often, but he has a Gladio and pairs perfectly with his Languedoc, which is a beautiful instrument in and of itself. But yeah, like it's on at all times now. I mean, that's the thing is like some of this stuff, like if I were to go to a gig, a festival gig or something, and I had backline, I know that I'll be okay if I have a pedal like that I can just leave on the whole gig, as my bass tone. And it's so there's so many different ways to wave the paintbrush, you know what I mean, with this stuff.
Yeah,
And I think that you probably, and I'm assuming this, but like you probably go into these, designs and these circuits with that in mind. Like this not only can be a great overdrive pedal, but this pedal can be an amazing thing for people who are doing fly dates and have crappy
yeah,
backline. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
Let me give you another example. The new Antique V3, the latest version of a pedal that has been released back in phase one. The new Antique V3. I wanted to make a new version of that, and I thought I want to make a boost. I want to add the boost, right? But there are so many overdrive, so many tube screamers with the boost already. So what's the deal with that? And there are even more overdrives that gives you also the possibility to change the position of the boost before or after the drive with a switch, right? Um, and then I thought, what about putting a boost before and after at the same time? So when you switch it on, what I call the hot mode, you can get both gain and volume boost at the same time, and you can control them individually, independently. Um, the cool thing is that the volume boost is also a volume cut, so you can actually cut the volume, not just boosting it. So effectively, I started making the Antique V3 as adding a boost to a classic Antique, and eventually it ended up having an Antique with 2 channels.
Wow.
That is an essential. If you think about it, it's an essential pedal. If you like tube screamers, you can just simply go on a gig with a small board and just the Antique, because that can replace 2 drives, because it's just like a double channel overdrive, double channel screamer. Um, so it's perfect if you are like if you like tube screamers, but you have small space
Hmm.
available. Um,
Emilio, how hard is that? Not to interrupt you, but how hard is that to fit all of that in a small footprint enclosure?
it's
Was
pretty
it
hard.
super challenging, like to engineer it that way?
Yeah, that is probably one of the most challenging things, because it's not just being able to put everything into a single PCB or a couple of PCB, or just putting everything into a small box. The real challenge is how you place components, and how you connect them together. Because when you have a lot of components packed in a small space, that can be some sort of self inductions between traces, and so you need to be really careful in routing all the traces of the PCB. So that's probably the real challenge, especially with pedals like the latest one we're making, because there are so many things in them.
But that takes like how long? Like a couple years to develop? Like from the time you started
No,
doing like the V3, is it easier because you already had like the schematic for the Antique and you're just adding to it? So like
yeah,
how
but
long did
well,
it take?
yeah, the schematic, defining the schematic is just like 30% of the whole job.
Mm,
Is not, I mean, schematic is okay. It's just like the receipt of a when you're cooking. It's just like having the receipt, but
hmm.
having the receipt is not putting the food on the table. It's
True.
so if I mean if the receipt will be enough for everybody, everybody of us will all be chef,
Yeah,
but
right?
we're not.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. No, well, yeah, definitely having the schematic already done made the whole development faster. But I would say not less than 6 months to develop a new pedal.
Wow, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
six
you're
six
really
months.
cooking. Wow.
Yeah, 6 months is the late is the least, actually, because it's not just the pedal. You also have to design uh, the look. So you
Mhm.
also have to audition suppliers. So establishing all the supply chain. Because I mean, if you just want to make one pedal, only one, that's okay. But if you
Mhm.
want to make thousands of pedals, you just need to make sure that the entire supply chain is solid.
Yeah.
And you have to make user manuals, you have to make videos, you have to make the website, all the assets. Just making a pedal is a universe of things. And the last pedal, the latest pedal we are making, the Nucleo. I mean, this is just the faceplate of it.
Right.
Uh, that's that's the pedal.
Oh, wow.
This
Well,
is just
I was okay.
like this.
That's Paul's pedal, right? Paul David's
Paul
pedal.
David, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Paul David's pedal. This one took us already 2 years of development
Wow.
now,
Wow.
and it's not finished yet.
How many iterations like have you been sending back and forth to Paul? Like, is it like, here, check this out. Then I know we're gonna have to tweak it, but like, how many times have you sent stuff back and forth?
Well, luckily, not really, not many actually.
Oh, okay.
No, not many. Because Paul gave us a 100% trust.
Oh,
that's
okay, that's awesome.
that's the thing. I mean, he told me, I trust your opinion on sound, on tone, so you can make it, and once the job is done, we can meet, and we can fine tune the pedals. And this is actually what we've done. Back in September, we went to Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. We spent 2 days together, fine tuning the pedals. We added some cool features, like I've never thought about these features. Just that was a Paul idea. The freeze function. You have a reverb, you hit the
Yeah.
freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, the freeze function, the freeze foot switch is latching, so you don't have to keep press it. So it's just like one boom,
Okay.
and it turned on. That's the first thing. And secondly, we added a freeze level, like a freeze volume, so you don't feel overwhelmed by the freeze if you want to play on top. And if you play on top, whatever you play is still with the reverb. It's not dry.
Oh, okay.
That's a very important thing. Even the
Man.
big even the big sky is not doing that. So if you play on top of the freeze, what you play is still with all the reverb features and everything. And not only that, we can also change the pitch of the freeze.
Ooh,
So
I
you
didn't
can
know
put
that.
the pitch one octave up or one octave down. So let's say you do a chord, you freeze it, and then you can control the volume, and you can put it one octave down. So you have a like a drone like a drone pad,
Cool.
or what? So
Yeah.
you can have a drone pad, and you can play on top of it, and it's super musical,
Mm.
super inspiring, um, and
What was his
still you have all the features of the reverb, so granular, uh, the pitch shifting, the modulation, the whatever, a lot of things.
what was his pitch to you, like, in terms of, like, this is the type of reverb pedal I'd want? Like, what was the first, like, conversation pitch?
With Paul,
Yeah, mhm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, well, Paul and I, we met for the first time here in Italy. He was here in my house. He was just touring, just like it was spending some time with the family here in the north of Italy, in the lake region. And he was moving from one lake to another, where I live. And I just sent him a message, and I say, Paul, just stop by. We can spend the day together. We're gonna cook something, and we can spend some time together. And we did. So we started, hanging, and we started, messaging. The very first thing happened about the reverb. We started this conversation when he went to that nuclear power station in Austria. Um, and that video, I don't know, you probably saw that video. I don't know.
Yeah,
And that was amazing. I was really amazed. And when we met again at the NAM show, I was like, Paul, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. What about making a signature pedal together,
mhm.
based on that sound, based on that reverb? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Very
So it was that easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're super easy, super easy. I mean, I really love Paul. I mean, it's such a nice guy. A
Yeah, he
lot of
seems like a
a lot of
sweetheart.
ideas. Is a great musician, um, and I think it's Cornerstone way. Probably because I'm Italian. I don't know. I think relationships comes first, than the business. I mean, the relationships makes the business. It's not vice versa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I really like to put out a pedal in which there is the Cornerstone brand and Paul David's name, um, because it's just like, the merge between two different entities, but with the same style, with the same vision. Um, so it's the perfect person, the perfect artist to make a signature pedal with.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see that stuff come together too, because there's obviously way more under the hood than anything maybe that you've ever done with
Mhm.
experimenting with, a schematic and coming up with an idea kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that there was both excitement in terms of like, oh, this is going to be cool to kind of dive into, but there's probably some fear too of like, I want to make sure that we do this right,
I mean, yeah, it happens every time whenever you're collaborating with someone else. In our case, we're making a pedal which carries his name. But let's say you play with an artist. Of course, both of you have expectations, and you just want to make your job good, your job well, and you want to meet other people's expectations. This is exactly the same with making a signature pedal with an artist. And I was pretty scared because after 2 years of development, we met Paul with a pedal that was actually almost 80% ready,
hmm
and that was just judged by me, by my ears.
Right.
And Paul told me, I completely trust you, but yeah, of course I was kind of skeptical because that was your very first 100% digital pedal.
Yeah.
um, so I didn't know what to expect, but the videos that we made, at least on Instagram, and I mean the time we spent together, he was really excited because he was skeptical, but he knew that we could make a really good pedal. And
hmm
actually, this is a pedal that really embodies the Cornerstone style. Like, also, I don't know if you can see this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, but okay, no, my camera is not helping me. But
That's
anyways,
okay. So there's four
uh,
outputs.
I mean, it's a compact pedal,
hmm
but let me give you uh, some some information. You have stereo in, stereo out, MIDI in, MIDI out, and
Oh,
also you also have a USB-C port here.
oh, dang! Look at
The
you,
U,
man.
the USB-C, it's not just for updating software, but it's also because this pedal is an audio interface.
What, dude? What an undertaking, Emilio. That's
I mean,
crazy.
uh, I don't I don't recall any reverb pedal that just offer the audio interfacing thing. Of
hmm
course, this is not replacing your sound card. It's just, I mean, you want to record anything on the fly, you can do it.
Wow.
Or let's say you are mastering something in your DAW. You have a track, a voice, or anything that you want to add reverb to. Normally, you would do that with a plugin software. Now you can simply connect the pedal via USB to the computer, send the audio from computer to pedal via USB, and back from pedal to computer via USB, and just simply adding reverb to it. So
Man,
it's just like a hardware plugin.
dude. Yeah, I mean that's the thing that I'm seeing more. It's not like frequent, but I'm seeing kind of people like yourself that are stepping into the future, creating stuff that feels like outboard studio gear.
Yeah.
Like not just a guitar pedal, not just a stomp box, as we used to call them lovingly, but like something that could be used in a studio, you know, kind of setting,
Yeah.
regardless of what instrument, whether it's keys, voice, horns, whatever it is. So that's pretty impressive, man. That's a lot
That's
of
a,
a lot of thought into that thing.
yeah.
Wow, man. Did
That's a,
you kind of collaborate with Paul like on those ideas, or was that like was that you? Like, what if we did this?
sort of. I had a lot of freedom to choose from to design
Okay.
this pedal. Of course I wanted to develop a pedal that's based on that video on the nuclear power plant sound. Mm, so the main modes of this pedal are room, hall, and reactor, which is actually the three places in which he was in a video: the control room, the cooling ring, and the reactor. So I call it the same way, and they sound the same way actually. But actually, the reverb thing could just be like that, just stop like that. I just make these three reverbs stop. But I wanted to add more to it. I wanted to add, the cornerstone touch. Um, so I asked myself, and I asked quite a good number of people, what would you expect from a programmable reverb?
Mm.
Nowadays, the programmable reverbs are not actually many, but you have the Strymons, the Big Sky, the Marys, the what else?
I don't even know.
The,
There's so many, dude.
the new neighbor. I mean, a lot of them. But you have at least two problems with them. Well, first of all, they are super expensive. First thing,
Hmm.
and secondly, if you want to deep dive into those pedals, you really have to take the manual, and you have a multifunctional display. You have to deep edit everything. With this one, you have a lot of controls. Probably all the controls that you would normally use from a full programmable pedal, but without being overly complicated. So you have modulation. You have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 controls,
Mm.
and each one of them has a second layer of controls. So you have three faders, let me say, which controls modulation, and the second layer is rate of modulation. You have a second fader, which is called air, but is just the volume of the pitch. And the second layer of this fader is the type of pitch. So if you put the fader all the way down, it's just -1 octave.
Mm.
If you put it all the way up, is +1 octave. If you put it in the middle, is plus and -1.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and 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 this is the second layer, so the secondary function. The primary function is the overall volume, and the third fader is what I call flux, which is actually the granular volume. And the second layer of the secondary feature, secondary function of this fader is the speed of the granular. And then we also have decay, pre-delay, tone, diffusion, and then we have freeze pitch and freeze volume.
Mm. Man.
Uh, we also, with a 3-position selectable rotary switch, you can choose between reactor, room, hall, and the secondary mode is the character. So normal, vintage, or lo-fi.
Oh, cool, dude. Man,
So
that's
many
a
things.
lot of stuff in there, Emilio. I mean,
And there are also 3 onboard preset. So let's say you don't use MIDI. That's perfect. You have 3 different preset here. Oh man, sorry. Here, 1,
okay.
2, 3, that you can actually save and recall. Um,
Wow, dude. I think a lot of people who are MIDI folks are gonna love that. That's killer, dude.
it's
So are you
yeah,
is this is just gonna be part of the line? Like for the foreseeable future, this is gonna be like your reverb
yeah,
pedal.
yeah.
Okay. Wow,
We
man.
spent so much time and energies in making this pedal in the past few years. So
Yeah, I
we
bet,
definitely,
dude.
we definitely keep this alive for a long time. And
Man.
look, I mean, we want. I'm a Marvel fan, as I said. I'm a very big Loki, the Loki show, the Loki
Oh,
series.
that's so good, dude.
I love it, and the aesthetic of this pedal is openly inspired by Loki and the TV8.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
don't
I
look.
was wondering that actually because it had that brownish kind of 70s vibe thing
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
exactly. That's the 70s vibe. That's exactly there.
Yeah.
Both because Paul color of his shirts, and the power plant was from the 70s. But even because I really like the TVA type of look. Look, just to give you an idea of how crazy we are about design. Um, Look, this is the faceplate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's matte and glossy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so here is glossy. Here
Mm-hmm.
is matte with graphic glossy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the three preset here are transparent, of course, um, but we actually measure with a laser, special laser instrument. We measure the transparency level, so
Mm.
so that when you light up with the LED,
Yeah.
these these three windows, you can actually see the LED underneath. So it's not completely diffused. And that's the reason for that, because that recalls like the vintage 70s panel with the bulb underneath.
Yeah, man.
That's just
Wow. That's awesome, dude. Man. So, all right. So then anybody else that is, even if you're not a Reverb fan, but if you're a TVA fan, then you need to buy that pedal. Did you see Deadpool and Wolverine?
not
Pretty good.
yet, not yet. I
Really?
yeah, I
Okay.
have to see that.
Okay. It's really good, dude. It's like Deadpool is probably my favorite Marvel character. And
Really? Wow.
yeah. And I mean, I've read so many Deadpool comics from when I was a kid till,
Mm.
even now, but there's yeah, I'm sure you've seen previews of it. There's a TVA element to it, but it's that aesthetic, that like mid-century modern 70s vibe is like, it's got a thing, man. It's got a like, it's
I,
got a really cool vibe.
I'm gonna
So
I'm gonna I'm gonna see that one for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should, man. All right. So I don't want to take up all your time. We can do the lightning round get down, but man, Emilio, dude, so much going on. Like it's from the last time I even saw you, dude, in person, it's been a lot happening in your life.
Yeah, a lot happening, and I'm happy because it's not a boring job.
No.
Definitely is not a boring job. I've been an employee for a long time, and for a boring company. This is not a boring job. Definitely. Well, you have up and downs, of course, as everyone, but I'm happy because um, we always make plans, new things
Mhm.
every month or every 6 months. We just try to envision what would be the next year like.
Yeah, that's
what
awesome.
what would be the trend, what people would need, the people needs. And we still, this is very important, we need to spend time with people, because otherwise we wouldn't understand their needs, of course.
Yeah, and it's cool to kind of forecast out what's happening in the industry and kind of try to predict like what you feel like you like and what other people will like, and see that kind of coming from a mile out is
Yeah.
interesting. That's hard, but it's, you guys are doing it, man. You are doing it. All
and
right,
next
Emilio.
year and next year will there will be some other new things coming out. Yeah.
That's where we'll look forward to that in 2025.
Hmm.
Um, all right, so you've done this once before, but we're gonna do the lightning round get down. Now I changed it because since you've already done this before,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you different questions. These questions are gonna be this guitarist versus this guitarist for you.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, all right, here we go. Ready? Clapton or Hendrix?
Clapton.
Van Halen or Eric Johnson?
Eric Johnson.
David Gilmour or Jimmy Page?
Ah, uh, Gilmore.
John Mayer or Doyle Bramhall?
John Mayer.
Yeah. James Taylor or Paul Simon?
James Taylor.
Pete Townsend or Angus Young?
Angus Young.
BB King or Stevie Ray Vaughan?
Oh man, that's tough.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'll probably go for Well, Stevie Ray, but I love BB.
Yeah, who doesn't? All right, here's some metal. We'll infuse some metal into this. Kirk Hammett from Metallica or Dimebag Darrell from Pantera?
Oh no, Kirk Hammett.
Okay. uh, John Schofield or Robin Ford?
Robin all the
I
time.
know, yeah. And then here's the last one. So I don't think I asked you this when you were on the first time because it was still early because I don't think I had implemented this yet. But can you think of one album that you would like to erase from your memory just so you can go back and hear it for the first time again and experience that music? What album would that
Oh,
be?
that's nice. That's nice. Oh, yes. This is about a band that we haven't talked about in this one, this call, but it means so much for me, and it's Californication.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I
I
mean,
didn't know that.
probably one of the best album that I've in my history. I love it, and I love it. I would love to erase it and listen to it for the first time again. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a big John Frusciante fan?
Yeah, I like it. I really like that era of the band.
Okay.
I think Californication was probably the best album in my opinion, from Red Dot. And
Okay.
yeah, I love it.
Okay. Man, yeah, you know what's funny is I don't think anyone I've done over 200 episodes of this show, and I don't think anybody's ever said the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't think you're the first one. That's
I
kind of
think.
weird.
I mean, there are a bunch of them.
Mhm.
My music taste, it's so broad. I listen to a lot of different music,
Mhm.
besides the blues, of course, that I'm devoted to. But um, even Incubus.
Yeah, me too, man. I love the Science is one hell of a record, dude. And like that is the record that really turned me on to those guys. But then Morning View, oh my God, dude.
Oh yes,
Woo!
Morning
Yeah.
View.
What a great sounding record. Both of those records, but Morning View in particular sounds sonically so
Yeah,
rich, you know?
I really liked Mike Einziger type of you know approach to pedals and approach to tones. Um, it was funny enough because I saw an interview of him saying that he's not like a really nerd, a pedal nerd or something. He was the bass player that was a nerd about
Mhm.
gear.
Mhm.
He was just using something. I'm just using things
Right?
that inspired me. I don't even know how to place them, but this works. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? You don't know how to place them?
That's so
It used
funny.
to sound like this. It's great. I mean, I mean,
He was
one
one
of
of
the
the first people I saw playing PRSs too.
yes,
Like that early on, playing like a hollow body from PRS. I was like, what is that thing? And I'm from Maryland. Like the factory is in my state, and I didn't know about those
wow,
guitars then. So, but yeah,
wow.
that was like the first time I ever saw a PRS, probably.
I saw him live. I saw them live, and Mike was already playing a Music Man.
Oh, okay.
The Music Man one, yeah, with the two boogie, with two Mesa boogie. I don't remember the model, the cream ones.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
That's probably the California Tweed, maybe one
yeah,
or the.
yeah, probably that. Uh, and I was very impressed by his use of phasers. So he was using an MXR Phase 92 Boss PH3 in series, and a Dan Electro Tape Echo or something. So
Interesting.
nothing expensive, nothing, you know, um, particularly boutique, I would say. Uh, but that tone really, really inspired me. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
not to mention the Joshua Tree.
Oh yeah, well, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's another one that's for the ages. Man, it's that's the thing. That's why I love that question is because it really kind of it makes you look inward as to like who you are too. Cause it's like why, Californication? Like where was I when I first heard that record and what was going on in my life? And like why did that record resonate with me so much? What kind of guitar was I playing? Was I playing a Strat? Was I, like what was going on? Like there's so many things that kind of pop into our heads when we think about music and like in terms of the times of our lives, like the pathway
Yeah, yeah,
that we're all
totally.
currently walking right now. So
Absolutely. I think it's really important that every one of us just stay open to music. I probably still remember that one of the very big thing for me in Californication was the bass lines.
yeah,
Um, I mean, Flea is as an amazing bass player, and it doesn't really. It's not a guitar, but I was trying to play his bass line with the guitar, and I think that is a big part of my adolescence, younghood. How would you call it?
yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, so that record in particular, I feel like was very Paul McCartney-esque in ways for certain songs. The like how he melodically he was playing.
oh, really?
I feel like when I listen to that record, sometimes I hear like some sort of like Paul McCartney influence in terms of like how he's playing underneath of the
Mm,
guitars, because Paul was like such a you know melodic bass player,
yeah.
so many memorable bass lines, from the Beatles. But I would say that Flea definitely has had those moments. If you listen to something like, I always thought a song like "Soul to Squeeze,"
Hmm.
if you listen to the bass line in that song, that feels very Beatles-esque to me.
Mm,
In moments, not throughout the whole thing, but like there are moments that feels like, what would Paul McCartney do kind of thing.
nice.
So I don't know, but ladies and gentlemen, on the page right now is the cornerstonemusicgear.com website. Please go there, check out everything. There's a lot of pedals now in the lineup. And Emilio, do you still have for the antique? Are you still doing like the different colorways where you
Oh
can
yeah,
color?
definitely.
Okay.
That is one of the big thing. You can customize it up to 61 different combinations.
That's crazy, man. It's like a custom shop order, dude. It's pretty
Yeah,
killer.
yeah.
So, and then on Instagram, for everybody listening on Spotify and Apple Music, at Cornerstone Gear is where you want to go to check out their page and follow what's going on. Lots of cool stuff apparently coming. So please check them out and follow along. Anything else, Emilio? Anything else you want to drop before we head out?
I just wanted to thank you for the chat. It's been a pleasure for me. We weren't talking for quite a long time since last time we did it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always nice. It's always nice.
Oh, I love
So
catching up
thank
with
you.
you, man. I figured that's why when I hit you up about doing it, I was just like, man, it's been too long. We got to catch up, and because you've had so much, happen, and
Oh yeah.
I want to make everybody on my channel aware of what's happening with your company because it's killer stuff. So,
And 2 kids, by the way. I mean,
well,
besides all
everybody,
the pedals.
well, everybody, have a wonderful day. This was supposed to be recorded, and I was going to drop it tomorrow evening, but apparently I didn't do it right, and we went live, which is fine. It's
It's
fine. I like
okay. It's
hanging
okay.
out with my friend here. So, everybody, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time.
Right. Ciao, everybody. Ciao, ciao.